got to go off to the GP now. What if the no doubt the receptionist will have a mask on and the whole bit. Right over the top. A few sirens around though. It's not a rarity. I've heard a few though. It's Ambo. Yeah, I had a cop cars racing down the street the other day. There was a cop car with it. This is going to be the first of 2 trips to the dock. I'm just picking up prescriptions today, and tomorrow I'm going, not tomorrow, I mean later in the week, I'll probably have to come in for a flu shot. But they seem to be a bit tardy getting it up here, because I know that in the southern states the flu vaccines have been distributed already, but there may be a delay because of our proximity, I'm not sure. But yeah, GP's practice just across from the school there. It's not a nice old building there, so that's I think it's a high school. I'm not sure it's a high school or just a primary school. Not a big school, I don't think. But this is where the pathologist is, plus the GP. Pathology place I go to is there on the right, and the GP entrance is from the front here. And I'll have to wait outside until you're allowed to be indoors. I think they've got a limit of 6 people in, 6 patients in the customers, patients, whatever they call, in the waiting room at once. So, that's the last time I was here that was the case, so we'll see. Anyway, it's not a bad day. Here we go, and there's the sign, and you've got to wait outside. Yeah, it's been quite warm the last couple of days, but we had some rain last night, and it's a lot fresher, a lot better than what it was, so that's good news. Yeah, I'm just heading down to, I was going to go down to Woolworths, but I'll go down to Coles instead. I think the Woolworths greens are a little fresher than at Coles, but I've got to go and get some prescriptions put in, so it's just easier to go down there today. And I went to the GP yesterday, and it was interesting. When I got, I had to have a conversation with the nurse who came out wearing a mask, and very hard to understand what she was saying because she had this quite thick mask on. And she was just asking questions about whether you got a fever and all this other crap to make sure you're not a corona suspect. I mean, it's pretty farcical in a way, because it's and she even checked my temperature. But the point is, there's a lot of people who got corona and it's asymptomatic. So you know, it wouldn't have helped in a lot of cases. So I mean, it's better than nothing, obviously, but it's hardly definitive. So, but it was more annoying that I couldn't hear what she was saying because of that stupid mask. So it would have been better if they give you a little a checklist to just look over, and you could just say if you nay or yay to it. So that was once I went into the inside of the practice, it was fine. It was like normal. There wasn't any of that crap. The woman behind the reception wasn't wearing a mask. My Gus, who's my GP, wasn't wearing a mask. He was fine. He's just normal. We had a conversation and gave me the medication. And the good news was that he did actually have the flu shot for me, and he also had one for pneumonia. There was actually a shot for pneumonia. The actual pneumonia was on my left arm, and there is a slight soreness there. He warned me that could be a little sore for a few days, and it's not a big deal. It's just a little sore. And I got the flu shot on my right arm, so that was good. I got it all done, got my meds and got that done, so I don't have to go there again, because he doesn't want patients turning up multiple times. Obviously they want to keep contact down to a minimum, and so hopefully things will start getting a little better for a lot of people around midway through this month. I know in Vietnam 14th of April is the time that they're going to start easing restrictions, because they've had very few cases there, but they're quite it is a socialist country, so they've got control over the population quite a bit, and people wear masks everywhere in Vietnam. They even wear them before this happened. So not everyone, but quite a sizable number of people did. So it's not a big change in lifestyle for them. They're not big party goers either, so they're not going to be really affected by a lot of this stuff. So they find it easier to live under these conditions. It's not a huge change in lifestyle for me. The only thing I'm pissed off is I can't go to the pub. That would be nice. But apart from that, I mean, that's why I find it a little quiet up here for my liking. I prefer Saigon to here because it's a big city. There's a lot more happening. And but there actually was one person, the Tony, who runs the travel meetup group. She's actually had a meetup organised. I thought that was strange. I would have thought all meetups would have been cancelled because of trying to reduce social contact, but she's gone ahead with her meeting. But I think, from my knowledge, it's only her and someone else anyway. She's trying to organise some trip next year, because she works in the travel industry, so she'd be suffering big time. So I feel a bit sorry for her. My friend Johan in Saigon, had a bit of a chat to him yesterday, and yeah, he said that it's pretty quiet there, and he's looking forward to number 5 bar being reopened, and apparently that's all going to happen on the 14th. So it'll probably be like the lull during Tet, and then they'll be able to party after that to some degree. I think you'll find a lot of places will start easing things at the latter end of this month. So as I said all along, this can't go on forever, and there has to be a coordinated easing of restrictions over time. That's my opinion, because the horrendous big increase in cases that the medical profession were worried about doesn't seem to have occurred. Australia's actually in pretty good shape at the moment. I mean, we don't have all the data because there's a lot of people with corona that we haven't tested. So, but the thing is, I believe that young populations at very low risk of getting a bad dose of this stuff, of being waylaid. It really is more for the elderly that need to be protected, and I think that they need to have a sensible, targeted campaign to protect the elderly and the infirm, rather than a blanket ban stopping people earning livings and things like that. So it's got to, we have to do this sensibly and not in a draconian fashion. And I personally believe that there are many governments, like the Andrews government in Victoria, which is very left-wing. They love this stuff because it gives them control. Classic left-wing government who will take any opportunity to control the masses. So, although I did hear there was actually, it's not all the left-wing, I've got to say, because apparently Hungary's come down really hard too, and they've got a right-of-centre government. So I suppose that theory doesn't hold up when you look at a place like Hungary. But I just don't like authoritarian governments using this as an opportunity to reduce our freedoms. So yeah, we have to really protect them. And Jacinda Ardern over in New Zealand, she's a classic example of someone who'd love to put the screws down and control things, and so that's. But even in New South Wales, there's been a lot of complaints about the heavy-handedness of the cops there, and that's a Liberal government. So I guess authoritarianism in any government is a danger. You've got to be very careful and don't let them overreact to a situation. I think there's a bit of that happening now. And as I say, I was never really for closing borders between states. I think that's pretty crazy. Externally, we should have been tougher for sure, much tougher, and we should have acted much sooner. And my friend, he's languishing in Brisbane now in a reasonably nice hotel. It's a 4-star hotel. He's getting basic food provided free of charge. He's got to hang out there for 2 weeks. He'd obviously rather not be there because he still obviously feels like a prisoner, but in very nice surrounds. He doesn't have a great view, mind you. He doesn't have a balcony, and I think he says on the 13th floor, but he's only facing another building. But at least he gets the basics looked after him. He does have free Wi-Fi, so at least he can stay online, and that'll keep him amused. And you know, it's a reasonable, it's an okay hotel room, not huge but okay. And I think that's pretty generous of the government to do that. I mean, mind you, he's out of pocket. He had to pay, he had to get a Qatar Airlines flight back from Thailand, from Bangkok airport, and it cost him $2,000 one way. So that was pretty expensive. So from Bangkok, presumably direct to Brisbane. So yeah, he was up for big bucks. I was lucky to get back before all that happened. I was able to take my normal flights that I got for, you know, a song. You know, like my flights were about 150 bucks each, one, you know, for each leg. 150 bucks from, say, Saigon to Denpasar in Bali, and from Bali to here, again about 150. So I wasn't out of pocket at all. And if I had some sort of corona thing, I would have probably still been covered under travel insurance, because those exclusions were only applied to the new policies that people take out. So, but I've got there's no certainty I'll be able to go back to Vietnam in August with my flight, so we'll be interested to see what happens there. But fingers crossed it'll work out. Anyway, it's a quiet old day. Hopefully the rain will put a few people off, but there were so many people turned up here at 7 o'clock on Sunday. I think late morning is definitely a good time to shop, because you don't have any of the people working here coming into the, you know, during their lunch hours. They're not going to be in the supermarket, and I think it should be a lull, hopefully. Well, we'll see. Fingers crossed again. Lots of finger crossing happening these days. I see the workmen around. Actually, they also designated that tradies are actually essential services, so they're allowed to come into your home, and if you want renovations and things done, they can do that. So that seems sensible. I mean, that's where we've got to basically allow people to have some flexibility. Otherwise, it's incredible, insane. You know, just don't want to basically flatten the economy. This is not good. I mean, it'll be a while before tourism comes back. I was talking to my GP too. He said that they've cancelled a lot of flights into Cairns. It's very quiet in the air, as I mentioned earlier. And he said, look, there's no guarantee that they will resume when this is over. There could be different parameters. So that's true. The world could be a different place. I am convinced that China is going to pay a huge price for all this, because I think trade with China is definitely going to take a huge fall, and I think we'll be looking at alternate markets. I mean, luckily you've got a place like India, which is going ahead quite a bit, quite a fair way behind China in development, and they'll be needing a lot of natural resources. So I think at the very least the Chinese will be paying a lot more for the raw materials that they've been using, and they'll find that they won't be able to export as much because people will be self-sufficient more. So we'll see, but that's my prediction. I think there's a lot of anger out there. I'm going to check this out. It looks like an airport. It's got a new system here to get to the, I presume. It goes this way. Okay. Very confusing. Hope I do passport checks as well. God. But people walking into the place are not showing any social distancing skills whatsoever. Oh, the toilet paper lunacy continues. The shelves are empty again today. It's about 11 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. When I went to the chemist to collect my prescriptions, they don't do signing anymore, so that's another thing that's changed. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you, or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great. But please don't ignore me. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube, is be ignored.